Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Welcome to the Report. Welcome to the Report. I appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out on this day, and we have something to talk about. Oh my goodness, these narratives, these agendas. Oh goodness, thank you guys. Please hit that like button on the way in. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It helps out a lot, and I can't thank you guys enough for the growth that we've had over the past few weeks and like month, really. But I do really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I did a video last year. It was my second ever read report I did last. I think it was like May. And ESPN had just released their rankings for the top, I think, 74 players all time. They did a top 74 players all time ranking, and 27th on that list was Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, this was during the time where, the pandemic had the season on pause. I don't even know if they announced that they were going to be in the bubble, at this point. But they did their ranking. Of course, they were just trying, they were getting content because there was no sports. The world was on pause. They had The Last Dance going and all of that. But yeah, they ranked Giannis 27th all time. And if you recall in that video, I had a problem with that ranking because I felt it was too early to rank Giannis Antetokounmpo all time. He had not won the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year award yet. He was only a one-time MVP. And it was just, confusing seeing, because you're doing an all-time ranking, and some of the notable people he was ranked over were John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, Isaiah Thomas, and Jason Kidd. And there's more that you could probably argue, even Anthony Davis, but Davis hadn't won a championship just yet, and Davis has never been a league MVP. But there's, like I said, Westbrook, Harden, other names that you could argue. But looking at the names I just named, all these point guards he's ranked over all time, I was like, that's just, he hasn't done enough yet. He hasn't been to a finals. He's only won one MVP. Like Steve Nash has won two. Iverson won one and led his team to a finals. John Stockton, 2 finals. And we know his assist record still stands. He once averaged 14 assists per game in a season, and he's just up there. Jason Kidd as well, and Isaiah Thomas, the first little man to lead a team to a championship, the bad boy Pistons. You can't take that away from that guy. There was no way Giannis was better than him all time. I'm changing my stance on that because of what Giannis just did. I think what he just did here alone propels him over these guys all time. Two-time league MVP, defensive player of the year, multiple-time All-Star, now NBA champion, and then of course he was the reason for the rings, and so he's the Finals MVP. Giannis can retire right now and would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, an all-time great. That's just how magnificent that performance was, especially dropping the 50-piece in the game, and it was the closeout game, and he had 3 games in the finals where he went for 40 or more. So yes, Giannis can have an all-time ranking now, and you can probably even rank him higher than 27. But this is what I really wanted to talk about. I had to get that out the way. You guys can also be sure to check out that video. Like I said, it's the second video I ever did. I'll leave the video, of course, at the end of this video. You'll have the link to get to it. But again, hit that like button for me. What I wanted to talk about was something that, happened yesterday. Everybody was talking about it. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I saw that Steven Jackson, oh, God bless his soul, he was on First Thing First yesterday with Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall. Of course, we heard Giannis's post-game interview after they clinched the finals, and Giannis was saying, that he could have done it, the easy way. He could have taken the easy way out, but he wanted to stay here. I'm not going to call out any names, but I could have went to a super team. I could have just did my part. But he was basically saying, he said, I could have went and left the city and just did my part on the super team. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to stay here and build it. And much respect for him for doing that, because you also got to give credit to Milwaukee, the organization. They built a new arena. They signed his brother. They got his brother there. Giannis's brother ain't the player Giannis is, but his brother, you can just tell that he's like the backbone for Giannis, someone to motivate him and get him going, and who's also just working to try and find his place on the roster as well. You know that was for Giannis, and you got to commend the organization for that. They brought Drew Holiday, got Middleton still. They got rid of, key players that they felt were not really going to contribute further to try and help this team get over, so they had to make other moves. So you got to commend the organization for that. But Steven Jackson yesterday had a problem with what Giannis had to say. Steven Jackson went on that show, First Thing First, and said that Giannis had a super team. The Bucks are a super team. No, they may not have the billboards, the shoes, and sell like this and that, but you got a super team, bro. He said, don't diminish your team like that. And let's get right into it. The Milwaukee Bucks, no one looked at this team and said, oh, they gonna compete with Brooklyn this year. Everybody had Brooklyn beating them, except for me. I had Milwaukee from the jump. Anyway, but it was just like a gut feeling prediction, to be honest, because I saw what Dirk did after he re-signed with the Mavericks in 2010, and he helped lead them. So I just had a feeling like the same thing is gonna happen for Giannis, and it did. But Steven Jackson said that Giannis was diminishing his teammates. He tried to bring up the point that Michael Redd once led the franchise in three-pointers made, and Middleton broke that record this year. Great feat. Middleton is a good player. He is a good player. Holiday is a good player. Brook Lopez is a good player. These guys are all contributors, but they are no super team. The Milwaukee Bucks are not a super team. No one ever thought of them as a super team. So why are you being the one to say that they're a super team? Could it be that you were trying to push some narrative because you felt like he disrespecting your boy LeBron or he disrespecting KD? Middleton has been in the league 8 years. When he was traded to Milwaukee, he was just part of the package. He wasn't a big deal in the package. He just improved his game. He improved his game. He got better. He's a two-time All-Star with the Bucks. Drew Holiday, one-time All-Star back in 2013 with the Philadelphia 76ers, and three-time All-Defensive player. Brook Lopez, also a 2013 All-Star, and I think he's been on an All-Defensive team as well. But are you saying that qualifies them to be a super team? And I love the pushback that he got on the show, because Steven Jackson, to me, it seemed like he tried to come off as this, trying to be intimidating, like, and no one better challenge me. I played in the league. You know what you know on your side. I think he was talking to Nick Wright as the broadcaster, the commentator, and he was saying, I know what I know on my side as a guy who played in the league. And yes, people, when Steven Jackson was a baller, he could play. When someone has that experience, you do defer to them in areas, but don't let them try to intimidate you just because they played in the league and you think, okay, now anything that I say is just, I'm disqualified because this guy played in the league. We get that. We respect the fact that you played, but you lose credibility when you say stuff like that. When you try to diminish what Giannis did and try to say that he's diminishing his teammates. And to me, it comes back to, this is just an agenda to try and protect LeBron, because Giannis basically called out LeBron and he called out KD and others if you want to go further down. But it basically started with LeBron and then KD followed the same trend. The Milwaukee Bucks were not a super team. Drew Holiday is not this guy that you will build a team around, because that's what a super team entails. Chris Bosh was a guy the Raptors should have been trying to build a team around. Dwayne Wade was getting a team built around him. Shaq was not the man on that team. It was Dwayne Wade. That's why Dwayne Wade won Finals MVP. Because Dwayne balled out, because he was the number one guy at the time. Shaq was the number one guy with the Lakers, yes, but he was not number one with Miami. And if you want to go and say that the Bucks were a super team, okay, let's go further back. We got the Warriors, but we know that. The Cavaliers, we call them a super team. The Heat, yes. The Spurs, were they a super team? Okay, the Spurs were a super team. How about the Mavericks of 2010, 2011? They were a super team because they had Dirk, they had Kidd, who's an all-time great. They had Tyson Chandler. The 29 and 2010 Lakers were not a super team. The 07 Spurs were not a super team. The 2003 Pete Lakers were not a super team. I know you guys get the point, but that was just a ridiculous thing to try to say to diminish what Giannis did. To try and say he had a super team and say he was diminishing his teammates. No, Drew, Lopez, and Middleton were good complementary players, but they are not sought after players like a Dwayne Wade, like a Chris Bosh, like a Kyrie Irving, and a Kevin Love. Because Kevin Love was a baller in Minnesota and he did his role in Cleveland. Of course, his numbers weren't going to be the same because you had two scorers in LeBron and Kyrie. The agendas, man, are just real. Like it's just insane. It's just crazy for him to even say something like that. Because it's dangerous because, like, dude, you played in the league. And you're not going to try to shake people off their foundation because you are stating, oh, I played in the league, so I know how tough it is. No one is questioning that. Nobody's questioning that. But you try to make it that if you calling the Bucks a super team, then every team that has ever won a championship is a super team. And I'm glad they looked at him like, what? Like, as soon as he said it, Brandon Marshall and Nick Wright was like, whoa. Like, because nobody will agree with that. Nobody will agree with the notion that the Milwaukee Bucks were a super team. When the season started, it was, of course, we all assume that if everyone's healthy, and the unfortunate part about sports is, unlike 2K, you cannot turn injuries off in real life. So we all said, if healthy, it's Brooklyn, even before James Harden got there because of what they had. It's Brooklyn. And the only team that I think could probably challenge them is what people were saying were Philadelphia. And then it was like, of course, Milwaukee's the third team. But then before that, they were still looking at Miami. But no one was saying, oh, I can't wait until the clash of the Eastern Conference super teams, Milwaukee Bucks, Brooklyn Nets. Nobody was saying that. So don't try to push these agendas and push these narratives now because Giannis did something that hasn't been done in a long time. Which is he just won probably the most impressive championship since the Mavericks or I would say the 2010 Lakers, but I personally thought they would wipe Boston, but Boston played them really tough to that tough game 7. But it was just an impressive championship that they won, and it's tough to go back and find one that's tougher than what Milwaukee just did. They were not a super team. Giannis is a superstar. Middleton and Holiday and Lopez are not superstars. They are the guys, and there's no disrespect. It's no disrespect, but you probably see them now probably on the national commercial, but they're the guys who are on the local commercials in the Milwaukee market. Those commercials. They're not the guys on the big time national stage commercials. They did their parts. They showed up when they needed to. They didn't even play well in these finals. Booker got that game, but they figured him out how one-dimensional he was. But he was getting pretty much everything he wanted over Holiday. Holiday did not play his best defense. He played defense when it counted the most, and that is important. Middleton had his games. He didn't play well in the closeout game. If you going off that game and you don't look at the score and you looking strictly off stats, you probably thinking, maybe Phoenix won this game if you don't know what happened. Lopez contributed, but he's not a superstar. And I'm gonna quit going, keep saying that because I'm wrapping up now. In conclusion, stop trying to create a narrative because you felt like, oh, this hurts LeBron's legacy. This is more impressive than any championship. And it is. If you ask me, look, I'm a Laker fan. After this, I really, they are really getting me off. I'm pretty much off the LeBron James, like as a fan of his, man, because I just hate when people try to push narratives and these agendas. But what Giannis did is more impressive than any ring. They tried to do that debate yesterday too, I think on First Take. Is this more impressive than any ring KD has won? But they didn't go to LeBron because it is more impressive than any ring LeBron has won. The only reason I will give, and I'm about to wrap up, the only reason I will give the Lakers credit for that championship they won last year is because going into the season, even before everything shut down, people were counting the Lakers out. Going into the bubble, the Lakers went 3-5. People were saying that they were going to lose to Portland in the first round. When that didn't happen, they said, okay, don't underestimate the Rockets in small ball. And when that didn't happen, they pretty much, when the Clippers choked, it was pretty much, okay, Denver had a great season. We just have to live on a prayer. Lakers beat them, and then when they got to Miami, they had to live on a prayer again because they knew right then it was a wrap. That's why I will give the Lakers credit for that title, because Giannis did it the hard way. He stayed. He got the Supermax deal that he couldn't have gotten anywhere else, and he won a championship and Finals MVP and dropped the 50-piece and went to Chick-fil-A the next day and ordered the 50-piece nuggets. Give that man his props, man. Stop trying to diminish what Giannis did just to make your boy look good. Appreciate you guys for hearing me out. That's the Reed Report. Be sure to leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think about that narrative, how you guys feel about it. Be sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Until next time, peace.